Are we on?
We are on. I think we are, as they say, live on YouTube. Hi, everybody. I'm
Hello.
Carrie. This is Denise. And you're on What's the Takeaway? Or we're What's the Takeaway? You're watching What's the Takeaway? The purpose of our show is to help you remove things from your life so that we can bust the
Busy. That's not really a term that we embrace, Carrie and I, and we hope that you will take it out of your vocabulary as well, because you know what? We are not chasing our tails around. We are actually deliberate, productive women and in business and in life. And so we're busting the busy, guys. We're taking things out of your life that you can choose to remove to make you more productive.
Yeah, and today we have a really good topic because I think not only is it going to make us less busy, but it's also going to actually make us a little bit more money, which I'm always in favor of because we work so hard and we put in a lot of effort into the work that we create. And we know our audience is full of really creative, imaginative people, and you should get compensated for all the work that you do. But I think sometimes, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're not sure how to maximize all of that work, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so we want to actually teach you what you can remove so that you can streamline and really get the most out of these really core activities that you do. So Denise, what are our 3 takeaways for today?
Okay. I love these takeaways. I already know what my takeaway is, but I'll wait until you ask.
Okay.
Takeaway number 1, any work projects that you can't earn additional money from, right?
Okay.
That's kind of the reuse and recycle, and we're going to talk about that.
Right.
Takeaway number 2, anything with a negative gain, right? Anything that costs you more than you're earning. So
Absolutely.
we're saying totally reduce that. That's
Right.
not good for us. And number 3 is take away anything that doesn't play to your strength. Super important. Again, we're going to talk more about that.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. Why do we do that? Why do we tend to end up either doing tasks that take a lot of time and energy, and then they're beautiful, and then somehow they just get put in a box or left on your computer, right? And then there's some things that we do that, like, honestly, at the end of the day, you go, oh, that really cost me a lot of money, right? That cost me a lot of money. And then there's some things that I do that I go, oh my gosh, someone else could do this so much better and so much faster and so much easier than me. And so I think those are the things we want to kind of keep in mind while we're working, right? When we sit down to work, you can almost kind of keep those 3 outcomes in mind. So let's start with the first one. So Denise, you're an amazing creator, and I know you've done, look at the face, you've done
You set
beautiful
me up already.
That's right, I set you up. You've done beautiful presentations, and you talk to these great audiences, and you're a master networker. And so many times I hear you do this amazing presentation, and then all of a sudden I'm like, when are you doing it again? Where can I read that? Where can I listen to that? Is there a recording? And so there's, I know I want to hear it again and again. So how do we do that? How do we get our work out there in multiple ways?
So, you know me, I love to learn. In fact, I do it too often and too much, right? I do, because I think that I'll get the perfect recipe and I'll just keep layering things on top of each other. But in actuality, I can't master one before moving on to the next.
Yeah.
And so I did take a really neat course, and I was really glad I did, because, you know, sometimes you get caught in the day-to-day and we do the urgent and not the important.
Oh, I love that. Can we say that one more time?
Oh, yeah, that's not mine.
I know, it doesn't matter. It's so important.
I think that was Eisenhower who said that.
Was it? We do the urgent, not
we
the
do
important.
the urgent, and we're not the important.
That's my whole day.
Well, if we're not doing the important, guess what? We're not moving the ball forward in our life and in business. So this class I took was really interesting. And what it made me understand is that I'm working way too hard. And so an example of this is we're doing the show, the television show, but beforehand we do a YouTube because we like to practice, and we're building up our YouTube. right?
And we have another audience here that we don't have on the Win-Win-Win Network, right? Because we know everybody's not in the same place.
Absolutely. But we could also stream it to YouTube, and we could stream it to Facebook Live. And that's the whole gist behind working once and making multiple incomes from it. So because you have all those different audiences, we're meeting them exactly where we want to be. But even more than that, even more than just online, we can take our content from our shows. Others can take their content from what they produce, and they can create an ebook. They can create an e-course, right? There's so much to do. They can take excerpts of it and do a daily blog or a weekly blog or whatever, speaks to them. They can take then further excerpts out of that and put like posts. Maybe it's a educational post, maybe it's an inspirational post, but there are definite ways of using our content multiple times and get paid multiple times for it. And today we have so much opportunity to do this. Another show will be who we talk to, how we do get paid, how we get sponsors, things like that. But just think about what you do and who it would help. So if you did a podcast and you streamed that to Facebook and you streamed it to YouTube, and you had someone, and we're going to talk about this, transcribe it. And in that transcribing, that might be a chapter in your book.
Right.
And it's done. Maybe have to do a little work on it, right? But that might really be a chapter in your book, or it might be part of your blog. And it's endless what you can do with this content.
It also could be like an interview. I was thinking, like when you said blog, it could be an interview with someone else's blog, right? Like as creators, content creators, we're always looking for really exciting people to come on our show, right? Absolutely. And so there are people out there who are watching this that other people want to connect with too. So that same thing could be repeated on multiple places,
perfect. Right? That's brilliant, because then you're sharing audience. You're sharing information, and audience is getting to more people. And how fun is that?
Yeah. So it's not just your real estate. It's like you go and visit other people's real estate, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's getting sponsors and getting ads and being an affiliate for, different companies. And honestly, I can only be an affiliate for companies I use.
Of course. Yeah. I don't understand how people like just throw names and labels on things. Then you ask them, like, how's that going for you? And they're like, oh, I don't really use it. Like, that's embarrassing.
So I can't do that, but I can see how that works. I wanted to go into a little bit more about the third takeaway, which is taking away anything that doesn't play to your strength. And I want to share this story because it's something that happened to me, something that I noticed, and I really thought, I have to share this. Okay. So I was introduced to this really amazing piece of technology, and it's a technology that helps you find more prospects. And I almost walked away from it because I was afraid of it. Honestly, I thought, I don't know if I can wrap my brain around this technology and I can actually do this work, because it's time consuming. And with everything else I have to do, I just really didn't know. So one of my friends said to me, Denise, you need to get a virtual assistant. Now, I knew what virtual assistants were. Okay. I knew they existed, but it never actually occurred to me that I would have a virtual assistant. I don't know why. Okay. And when she said it, it was like I was hearing about virtual assistants for the very first time. And that's not true, right? But something went off. This light bulb went off and I went, oh my gosh, I can take on this challenge and do it really well and so much more quickly by, what do you do? Same thing. You work with this person because they're representing you out in the world. Right. Initially, right? They are. And so they have to know, who I am, what I like, what I don't like, who I could easily interface with. Once that was set up and we worked on that, my gosh, she's getting so good at this and it makes my life so easy. So those $7 tasks, I'm just putting a price, right? Yeah. Those $7 tasks that have to be done but, or maybe it's more like $15.
Yeah,
But
I was
those
gonna say
tasks,
$15, $20 tasks. I know. There's been
it
inflation.
totally,
You're quoting a book. I know, just for our audience, she's quoting a book of someone else, and I think that book's a little bit old. So yeah, let's say 15
no,
to $20
it
tasks.
was actually 7 pounds.
Oh, 7 pounds. Okay, so
So
7 pounds.
that's a little bit more.
There we go. All
Yeah,
right, I
yeah,
get
that brought it up a
it.
little.
Okay.
But instead of, looking at the minutia and taking care of the minutia, which really doesn't necessarily pay us. We may never see that. It has to be done well. But where it hits in is when she sifts through, right, and looks at all the people. And then when it gets time for them to talk to someone, they're talking to me. Right. That's where my strength kicks in. And so I know it's so little, but I was blown away because I thought, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. This is something that I have control over, but I don't have to physically and literally do because I'm not that good at it. And so I want, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and you made me think about something. So for anybody watching who is a virtual assistant, this actually applies to them too, because I can imagine that a virtual assistant may take on clients from a span of different industries, right? Like you may be doing things for real estate, you may be doing things for cosmetics, you could be doing things for supplements, something like we do, doTERRA, right? Like there'd be lots of different things. And maybe if you're in that business, what you want to do is actually get really, really good in one industry, because then you could actually market yourself, right, to multiple different businesses within that industry. And you've already laid the groundwork for exactly what they need, how they needed, the timing, the technology, the skills. Because I could, it kind of works in the reverse too, right? Like we were saying, I'm not going to make a website. I've tried to do it over the years. I have done a terrible job. Anyone I thought I was doing a favor for and, said, I'll help you on your website, they ended up hiring somebody to actually fix it afterwards, right? So I learned my lesson pretty soon. And so did they. Like we thought, oh, we could do this on the cheap. It wasn't really cheap because it takes hours and hours of time and learning something that you may or may not ever want to do or do again. And so I can imagine if you were a website designer, also designing websites for like one industry or with, one style would also make you much more valuable, and your work would actually get paid multiple times. So that's going back to the first takeaway, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So then you're a template creator, right? So it's interesting. Like if you think in kind of a template model, like how am I creating templates for my presentations, for my writing? What's the sequencing? What are those avenues? Where's that going? I think that could be really, really helpful.
Well, also in that whole thought about blogging from a podcast or blogging from the television show or YouTube, you're using someone who transcribes, right? There's no way that I'm going to sit here and listen to something that it would take me 2 days.
And they have technology for that too. So, if you want to do it a little bit less expensively and not hire someone right away, you could run it through some kind of program and then just read through it and make your own little edits. I think that would work.
What is that? Is it called Dragon?
There's Dragon Dictation. And then there was another one someone recommended recently. We'll have to maybe connect with them.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, if you're watching this and use some really good dictation software and you want to recommend something, go ahead and put it in the comment section. We'd love to see that.
That's excellent. So think about when you're doing this and you're working, and maybe we did a presentation. We just finished one, right? You and I, and it was PowerPoint, but we could take those slides and put it in an ebook. And we could absolutely generate an ebook that is a lead generator.
Right.
And this, it's our work.
Right.
We did it. And then we're building our community with emails and, people coming in. Oh my gosh, there's so many different ways. An e-course, I'm so excited about the thought of that.
I love that. And I'm thinking too, I may start to actually even break down my work more and take away, sometimes I have too many ideas. I think this year I really want to educate people. I feel post-pandemic, I really want to help people with stress and nutrition because I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. Like if you're under a lot of stress, sometimes you actually don't absorb all the nutrition that you need. So supplementation is super important. But also if you're not getting the right supplementation, it can lead to a lot of stress because your body's struggling hard to try to get the nutrients that it needs, right? I mean, I think it's been the cornerstone of our business. I know we have a supplement line called Lifelong Vitality, which is really like foundational. So if I take that analogy, right? So if Lifelong Vitality is my foundational supplementation, and then I add all these other cool supplements to it for whatever I'm trying to achieve, then if I'm in a business, I can take away all the unnecessary work that doesn't kind of lead back to the foundation of what I'm trying to teach for that year or that quarter, right? Or the business that I'm trying to work on for that quarter or that year. And just put all those other projects, just to the side, not that you get rid of them, but if I could actually maximize, my work with nutrition and stress this year, for example, then maybe next year I spin off and have a different theme. That would take a lot of pressure off of me because you and I talk about ideas all the time.
And I love that idea because stress absolutely, it actually eats magnesium in our body. It actually, wow. And so that sets off a whole nother, magnesium is really foundational, which when you look at our LLV, I'm so happy to see what they have in it because it follows everything that I've been researching and looking at. And so, stressors this year and last year were, I don't think they're quantifiable.
No, I mean, 2 full years of constant stress, globally is a pretty profound environment to try to come out of. And I think, removing things that you're doing every day to really, really focus on something, do it well, do what you love to do. You're going to do more of it, right? And then connecting with so many other people that want to hear about what you do in partnership. I think it'd be really, really dynamic. I welcome the opportunity to take some of the work that I put myself on my plate, right? Like no one else is putting it on my plate. I'm an entrepreneur. I run my own business, right? I'm putting that on my own plate.
Yeah, we have full plates.
We do. Yeah, and sometimes they're a little bit too diverse. Like get rid of those peas. I don't know.
Yeah,
but peas right now.
That's why we have these takeaways.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I really love the number 2 one. I love that we have to really think about the negative gain, right? Is something costing us more than we're earning? And that could be more in time and more in, actual money, right? But our time is really valuable.
It is. And, it's funny, like Denise and I are pretty trusting people. And I know sometimes in business, like we've gotten into business, this is going back almost 10 years ago. You may not even remember what I'm recalling, but, we had this idea of partnering with someone and we didn't really lay out like what we were going to get for our work and what the other party was going to get for their work. Do you remember this? Is this ringing a bell? And it was like, and at the end, through all, I think a lot of the fault of our own, we ended up dissatisfied. And I think we spent a lot of time and money on a project that just didn't come to fruition. Now, since then, I think we've really learned a lesson and we've done a much, much better job. But that always, I keep that in mind as a really good lesson because I say to myself, does it fall into this category where I know it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of investment? And then where is it going, for me? And if it's not, then it probably isn't the best use of my time.
No, I agree. And we do a lot together. So what's interesting to me is something that we were working on just a little less time, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we put our effort into it and it just didn't ever take off.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. That's what entrepreneurs do, right? Like you have the good things and then the things that come.
It was, but we learned from it.
Yeah.
And something else has come back in again. And you're like, oh, we've almost been here before, so we know.
Right. Yeah,
how
we
to
had a
better-
lot of legwork done on this one because it was very, very close and it was similar in project, design.
Yeah, but not to get caught up in recreating something. So the one you were talking about 10 years ago, if something like that came in again, we would be very much better set up to say, here's how it needs to look.
Right.
This is what you're responsible for. This is what we're responsible for. This is what we can each anticipate receiving.
And we did create all those assets. So we still have those assets, by the way. And I'm thinking, going back to our show from last week with organization of information and knowledge, like that would be really important for us to kind of pull those assets from 10 years ago and put them in something like Obsidian or add them to work we're already doing, right? Because it's probably relatable. And that goes back to, information organization, but also streamlining your work, knowing what you do really well. I guess they call that staying in your lane. Is that what they say nowadays?
Well, I mean, it could be, but I never stay in my lane, but it could be. But I think
in the fast lane. Don't drive with her. She's always
in the fast lane. I am always in the fast lane. But here's the thing that I like about this whole topic.
Okay.
And I like about what we're doing, because you're right. We talked about Obsidian, we talked about Wakelet, we talked about Trello, right? All really good hubs for information. But when you think about how you want to multiply the times you get paid for the work you're doing, then each time you have a topic, then it might go in multiple folders. Right. So that you can you could say, oh my gosh, this information, it lends itself to an ebook. People would love it. It's not too deep. It covers just enough. It's perfect. Or holy cow, we have a whole course here. This can really be a whole course. And I think when we look at that and put things aside, right, we're not doing it now.
Right.
But we're putting it in store for the future. And I love that, because when I have to look for things and waste time looking for something, it makes me, crazy. I almost have to reproduce it. And that isn't worthwhile. That's not working once and getting paid multiple times, right? But even things like, we are having this really cool event tomorrow. And it's a team and a corporate event. And we decided, hey, let's take photos. We have this great opportunity. Let's take photos so that anything we need in the future, for whether it's a social media image, whether it's an email, whether it's just a advertisement of some sort, it represents us. We don't have to go to stock photos and get a group of some other people who are sitting in an audience. It's us, it's our audience. And so doing things like that and combining it just, for me, makes total sense.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
And I just feel lighter right now, just knowing that I can make some of these choices and let go of some of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing you were talking about, which is really interesting to me, you were saying when you create something once, right? When we create something once and we want to use it, like it's evergreen, right? That's the term.
Evergreen. Yeah.
Right. And so we can't, and when you said this, it just stuck in my mind. You gave the example of buying like chartreuse colored shoes that you can only wear once, then everyone will remember.
Right.
Right. That when I took one of my headshots, right, for my business card, and I wore a brand new sweater. Well, I could never wear that sweater to meetings. Because it was a sweater. Like I hand out a card and they're like,
right. It's like, she's wearing her uniform.
Exactly. And I guess in some, in some places, like they always say, if you audition, you should wear the same outfit.
But there you go.
Yeah, that's never been me. So that was out. So I think that you just making sure that you're right. You just said it before, staying in your lane. Right. Yeah. Staying in your lane, but doing really clean and good projects initially. You can reuse and recycle those many, many times.
And I also think you become known for that material so much better than when you're too diverse. Like jack of all trades, master of none, never really worked out too well for anyone except for maybe Albert Einstein, but I still think he, was somewhat of a specialist, or maybe Thomas Edison, right? I mean, there's some people in this world who are true Renaissance people, but I think especially today with so many voices and so many, noises, just to have that branding can be really, really important for what you do.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think we have to wrap this up, right?
We do. So Carrie, I want to ask you.
Yes.
Your takeaway. So I'm going to say them again.
Okay.
Takeaway number 1 is any work projects that can't earn additional money from.
Okay.
Takeaway 2 is anything with a negative gain that is costing you more than you're earning.
Okay.
And takeaway 3, anything that doesn't play to your strength. I know.
Those are really hard, actually. I would like to do 1, but I think I have to do 2 first. So 2 is to remove anything that really isn't profitable. So I think I'm going to have to do sort of a good overview and analysis of what I'm doing in my work, and just to, do an ROI on it, right? A return on that investment, time, money, and talent. And then soon after that, hopefully it won't be too much, I'll get into number 1. How about you?
Same. Absolute.
Wow.
Same.
And we did not talk about this beforehand. Nope. That's so interesting.
No, nope, absolutely the same. Must be. I really need to utilize everything I've invested in.
Yeah, that sounds great. Especially when there's a tiny bit of inflation going on, right?
A little.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. Oh, this has been fun. I like this topic. I think it's brilliant. And I think that you and I are going to bring it more and more into our business.
Excellent. Yeah. So this whole month is about organization, all kinds of organization. Next week, we're going to have another really cool show. Just to give you a preview, at the end of the month, we have a very special guest coming to talk about organizing your office. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll drip on you a little bit more information about that. But until then, I'm Carrie and this is Denise, and you're on